Thank you all for being with us today on In the Spirit. You've been listening to David Maseko's CD Lull, and David Maseko, RishiRecords.com, RISHI Records.com. We're very happy to have Veronica Torres with us today, and I have in my hand her book, Discovering You, Eloheim, channeled by Veronica Torres. And are you asking, why am I here? Are you drained from doing too much? Do you feel trapped and confused by your life? Are you wondering how you can take care of yourself and meet your responsibilities? Discovering You will help you balance your life so you can live more fully. And Veronica's career history is interesting and varied, with work including radio talk show host, rock and roll memorabilia store owner, network director of a holistic practitioners group, and producer of well-being expos and jewelry designer. I'm happy to say Veronica is with us right now, so let's say hello to Veronica Torres. Hello, Veronica.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me on your program.
Oh, thank you for being with us. And it's great. Discovering You. You've channeled many books by Eloheim, correct?
Yes. I think we're over 20 now.
Tell us about who is Eloheim.
Yes, Eloheim is, describing them in one sentence is such an interesting action to do, but they are a group of energy that is expressing right now through me, through a process called channeling, which means I'm able to set my personality aside and allow my non-physical teachers to share their messages. It's a long-standing thing, channeling, but it is weird, I admit it. And sometimes people kind of look at me strange, but when they read the material, they go, okay, cool, I'm in. It works for me. It helped me. It changed my life. So Eloheim has been part of the human experience since the beginning. They were here to help us create an opportunity to explore and grow and to embody our soul's perspective. So the infinite and immortal aspect of us is our soul, and the human part of us, those two are collaborating. The soul and the human are collaborating to have an experience that neither one of them has individually. And so Eloheim is here to facilitate that.
Great. I have an author on this show. Her name is Tara Janelle Walsh. She wrote a book, Soul Courage. And so this brings me to ask, what is the soul?
Yes, good. Oh, no one's ever asked me that question before. The soul, as Eloheim defines it, and I think it's a reasonable definition, is the infinite and immortal aspect of us. So in the beginning, whatever there was, some people like to call that God, some people like to call it Creator. Let's just call it whatever there was. Whatever there was singular and decided to contemplate itself. And in contemplating itself, it divided into an infinite number of what I call souls. Some people call your higher self, right?
Right.
And souls then went out to have every experience that could be had, so that when we reunite after all the experiences have been had, then what was in the beginning will now have learned all there is to learn. And then we reunite and go on to have another experience of who knows what kind of greatness.
So we're in groups?
I'm sorry?
Soul groups, right?
Yeah, Elohim has said and acknowledged that people, that's the wrong word, right? Souls tend to incarnate in groups on Earth. And those groups are 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. So you tend to have reoccurring incarnations with the same soul. One time you're the mom, the next time you're the dad, the next time you're the boyfriend, the butcher, the candlestick maker. You have different relationships with each other, but we do tend to cluster in these different groups of souls as we incarnate over and over again on Earth.
Now, so the soul, so we're more soul than anything else, right?
Well, a soul is a very big deal. And when Elohim says infinite and immortal, they really mean it, because those are big numbers in for humans' perspective. So, but it only takes a smidgen of a soul to run a human body. So your soul is actually doing lots of things concurrently, one of which is being you and being me, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot going on in the soul department. And that means there's a lot more room for us to bring in more of our soul's perspective than we currently access. Because it takes just a smidgen to make a human, incarnate. But as you learn and grow and study and become more conscious and less habitual and less fear-based, you're able to bring in more and more of your soul's wisdom to inform the journey that you're on here on Earth and reach the actual potential of the human form, which we don't typically get close to because we get trapped in the fear-based habitual living that we are brought to by the survival instinct.
So your book, Discovering You, capital letters, Y-O-U, gigantic capital letters. You is a big deal, right?
Right. Because, people show up here on Earth and they incarnate, they grow up, they start to try to live a life, they try to accumulate and protect what they accumulate, they try to propagate and have babies and property and all the things that people do, and just basically try to cope well until they die. And that's not the highest potential that humans have to offer or to experience on this beautiful planet that we have.
Yes.
We're not just here to cope well until we die. So, but we are triggered, and we do face challenges. That's an obvious thing, too. So.
Yeah.
Elohim's work is all about facing those challenges and triggers and transforming our relationship to them rather than having the habitual coping relationship that 99.99% of the people out there are doing.
Beautiful. Transforming instead of coping.
Yes, because we're really taught to cope well. Stiff upper lip and stop complaining and just keep pushing through and no pain, no gain and all that, right? We're really taught to just be good copers. And it's very rare for anybody to come along that says, look, I'm not going to reinforce your habit of coping. I'm going to ask you and support you in changing your experience. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to ask you and support you to change that experience so that one of the greatest things that's ever happened is when, using Elohim's work all these years, I got to a point where I could look straight in the face of something that triggered me like crazy a few years ago and went, it doesn't trigger me anymore. Not because I'm pretending, but because I've changed my relationship to it.
Beautiful.
It was very cool.
Yeah, I remember I had an intuitive on the show many years ago, and he said something that it was amazing what he said. He just out of the blue, I don't know how it came about. He says, "You're here in this life. You are here to be a master in relationships." Yeah. And relationships is all, is the master. And you will take on the toughest relationships in order to master it, because that is going to give you the opportunity to discover the truth about who you are. Yeah. Yeah.
Elohim calls it sandpaper. You know, when you're working with wood, you want sandpaper because it smooths away those edges and it changes the shape. So sometimes we run into what we call sandpaper people that just rub on us and help us change our shape. Yeah. Now, occasionally those people become, metal file people, and it's easier just to step away and find another relationship to learn whatever it is you're seeking to learn. But occasionally it's better. We talk a lot about abiding in the discomfort of uncertainty. So uncertainty, which we all experience all day long, every day, uncertainty offers us this opportunity to choose. Am I going to interpret uncertainty as danger, or am I going to explore uncertainty as the place where all creativity occurs? You know, everything starts out as the blank canvas, and that is uncertainty. But we are able to see the blank canvas not as danger. And other uncertainties we interpret as danger using the survival instinct. So it's where that line is in each person that oftentimes dictates their experience they have. So some people who are super entrepreneurial, and you're like, how could you possibly be a person who does a startup and climbs Mount Everest and swims across the ocean without a wetsuit and all these crazy things you do? Well, those people have a relationship to that type of uncertainty that offers exploration, whereas other people might have a relationship to that kind of uncertainty that says, forget that, that's scary, dangerous, can get me killed, I'm going to stay home. Yet perhaps that second group of people can have a family and face the uncertainty of raising children and manage that in a miraculous way, whereas the mountain climber says, forget it, there's no way I could trust myself to raise a kid. So we all have this spectrum of relationship to uncertainty, and in that spectrum of relationship to uncertainty, we have the opportunity for our own personal growth.
Yes, definitely. I want to give people information, Eloheim.com, Eloheim.com. You're on Facebook, also Eloheim, Twitter, twitter.com/channelers. A YouTube Eloheim channel. So YouTube is a great resource, isn't it?
Yeah, I have over 500 YouTube videos.
Wow.
And many, many people come to my work through YouTube videos. So you can spend a ton of time. Just today I got a comment on a video I loaded in 2009.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of my information is on YouTube. We have a private Facebook group that rocks, and everyone that's listening is invited to join. That's Connect with Elohim on Facebook.
Yes.
I participate in that daily, so you can engage with me and to hear about what's going on with Elohim and ask questions. We have a great community there, so that's a real wonderful place. And then, like I said, I have over 20 books. You can get them on Amazon.
Yeah. Also, Eloheim.com, and there's many links on that, right?
Oh, yeah. We have a really big website. Mm-hmm.
Including videos and whatnot. Now,
whatnot is exactly the way to describe it. I love that. Whatnot. We've got card decks, we've got stickers, I've got magnets, you name it, and whatnot. I have it.
Okay. Look it. You're I don't know. Do you still produce well-being expos and jewelry designing?
I haven't done the Wellbeing Expos for a while. I sort of did that before I got really involved with Elohim, and Elohim keeps me busy these days. But God, I love doing that. It was really powerful.
So you're just naturally want to throw in everything. You want people to have all kinds of things.
Yeah, for me, I started doing the Wellbeing Expos. This is how that went. I was bringing healers in from other countries and putting on events for them and getting 100 people to show up and have healing treatments from these Brazilian healers and this, that, and the other thing. And miraculous things were happening. It was totally awesome. And then I looked around and went, you know what, right here in my town, I live in Sonoma, California, which is about 45 minutes north of San Francisco in the wine country.
Mm-hmm.
I looked around and went, there are amazing healers right here in my town. What am I doing bringing them in from other countries when I could just get these folks? So I started putting on these big events, and I would rent a venue and sell booth space, and my friends would all come and new people that I'd meet, and we'd have big community events, and hundreds and hundreds of people would come, and people still sometimes will tell me stories. Oh, I had a reading at that, and it really changed my life. That event you did, that really helped me. Oh, at that event I met my best friend. We've been best friends since. That's really fulfilling.
Yeah. So it's a way for people to connect with each other.
Yeah, and so then when I started doing the Elohim work more of a full time, and that keeps me extremely busy, I would hear from people who would book private sessions, and they'd say things like, "I have no one to talk to about spirituality, not a single person." And I went, well, heck, now we have the internet. That's just unacceptable. So I started webcasting my events and creating, a Facebook group and making these opportunities for real community connection using the internet, because why not? We've got it, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I am, have always been a kind of community building type, and those are the ways that that I've really reached out and said, look, we've got something going here, and it's awesome, and I want you to participate, and I'm going to make it easy for you, as easy as I possibly can. So all my events are broadcast live on the Internet. I do 4 a month. We're doing these conference calls, which I love because then it's not just me video casting. I actually get to hear the people ask their questions, which is a new cool thing we're doing. And, of course, I still offer private sessions for people who want to do one-on-one work. You know, some people are shy and they're not ready to speak out in a community, and so we do private sessions as well.
How did you contact Eloheim, or did Eloheim contact you?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So some years ago I was in a bad marriage. I'm no longer in that bad marriage, but I was in a bad marriage, and so I was having trouble, and I went to a psychic for marital advice. That tells you a lot about me, I think.
Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so I went to a psychic for marital advice, and the guy didn't give me any advice about my marriage that I can recall, but he said, you're going to become a channel and you're going to be known around the world. And I looked at him and went, who wants that? I mean, I don't want that.
Right.
I want my life to be better. I'm not asking for a life's work. I'm asking for a life. So I just ignored that, and I was familiar with channeling and all that, but I wasn't interested in it. And so a couple years went by, and I had moved to Sonoma, and I didn't know anybody, and I was lonely, so I started taking a yoga class, and the yoga people said, this weekend we're going to do a Lakshmi Puja. Do you want to come to the Lakshmi Puja? And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but the answer is yes, because I want friends.
Yes.
So we went to the Lakshmi Puja, which as it turns out is a chant, and it sort of sounds, it's very repetitive and not monotonous, but monotone. And so I did this Lakshmi Puja, and dude, did I get altered during the Lakshmi Puja. I was in such an altered state. I was like, wow, out there. So we sat down in this little circle. There's, I don't know, half a dozen of us. And all of a sudden, this voice comes out of my mouth. And it gives a message to this woman that I don't even know. And it helped her. And at the end of that little speech, it said, we are the Elohim, and we are pleased to have been with you today. At which point, I broke down in tears. Because, not because I was afraid, I knew exactly what had happened. It felt completely normal. You know what freaked me out?
What?
Everybody was looking at me.
Really?
And I didn't want to be looked at.
Yeah.
That bugged me. I felt too damn conspicuous.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's never happening again. Never, never, never.
Yeah.
So I shelved it until another year and a half or so went by, and a friend of mine called me up, and she's like, some guy at work just told me my biorhythms are off. Do you know anything about that? And I said, well, I don't know anything about biorhythms, but I know about chakras. So come over, I'll look at your chakras, and I'll see what's going on. And that started a series of conversations between the two of us about different spiritual modalities, tarot and things like that. And at some point I just said to her, you know, this guy told me I would become a channel. And she's like, cool, let's do that. I'm like, I don't even know how. She's like, it doesn't matter, let's just do it. So I sat down, literally sat down on my deck, closed my eyes and said, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm, basically I am willing. And so I sat down, I closed my eyes, I said, I'm willing, and Elohim came in, gave this person a message about something I knew nothing about, and the rest, as they say, is history. Here I am. That was 2002.
And, wow, so it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So how did you begin to use this?
Yeah. So after about 3 months of getting together with that friend, what we do is we'd write down questions during the week, and then on the weekend we'd get together and I'd sit down, say, I don't know what I'm doing, and Elohim would come in. After about 3 months of that, Elohim said, this is not just for the two of you girls, like get a group together. So I went back to the Lakshmi Puja place and got those people together, the yoga people, and a few more people, and we had an event. And I just, again, sat down and said, I don't know what I'm doing, and we had a session. And I started holding weekly sessions at that point. For years and years and years and years, I had a public session every Wednesday. I think in 8 years I missed 2 Wednesdays. I was really steady. And then, because I started doing more private sessions and traveling and writing books and all that, I've backed off the weekly. I do it every other week now. But of course, as you probably will not be surprised to hear, I added other events. So I stayed at 4 a month. I just do them from my house instead of going out and doing them in public. So it saves me a little bit of energy, but yeah.
So that's where a lot of these videos come from, right?
Yes, that's where the videos come from. So when we have our public events, I clip out a bit and put it on YouTube, or at least I used to. I got a little tired when I got to number 500, so I backed off slightly on the schedule of that, but there's so I did 20 books in about a year and a half, and then I did 500 YouTube videos, and then I got tired, and so I took a little break.
I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Please.
Okay. Here we go. I have to think how I'm going to phrase it. So, okay, here we go.
Okay.
You've had so much contact with Elohim, with all these books, all these workshops and videos, etc., like that. What if you had to distill it, all the teachings down to its essence?
Yeah.
What do they want us to know?
You are a chooser, meaning that in every moment you're actually choosing your response to the experiences you're having.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
you made my day. You absolutely
second by second. Yeah. And that's how we actually create our reality. You know, lots of people talk about creating your reality. It's kind of a buzzword, you know, and a lot of people don't know what the heck it actually means. But what Elohim says, and I think is true because it's my experience, is that we create our reality through the choices we make in this moment. So as you and I are encountering each other, we're both making choices about how we're going to react to this moment, right?
Right.
And so in this kind of a thing, it's fun because we're just having a good time talking to each other, getting to know each other, right? But in a situation where maybe you're triggered by something, one of Elohim's favorite examples is you spill the orange juice on the kitchen floor. Right? You shake the bottle and the lid's not on and it flies off. And then you're standing there with orange juice running down your legs saying, I could be angry, I could be mad at the kid or the husband for leaving the lid off, I could be upset that the dog has walked through it, I could do whatever I could do right now, or I could just choose to see this as an opportunity to explore the moment. You know, and people will say, but I couldn't choose, I reacted instantaneously. Well, Elohim's work is to help you know that there's more of a gap there than you realize. There's more of a gap there than you realize between a stimulus and a choice of how to react. And Elohim's been using that example for years and years and years. And not that long ago, I don't know, maybe a year ago, I actually did spill the orange juice on the kitchen floor. I actually didn't put the lid on properly. It was all me. I didn't put the lid on properly. I went to shake it, and orange juice went everywhere. And I just laughed and laughed and laughed as I was cleaning. I was like, wow, when the orange juice spills, you really do a good job cleaning under all the nooks and crannies of the kitchen floor because there's orange juice everywhere.
And it's sticky when it gets dry.
Yeah, so you've got to, do a good job when you clean up the orange juice. Maybe that's actually the cleaning solution for the kitchen floor, and we've never realized
But
it.
I've discovered that oranges, when you're peeling an orange and when like the juice runs on the counter and stuff, it's a great cleaner.
Is it?
Yeah, with water, you get a damp a towel or a cloth.
All along.
And it's really a good cleaner. So, here's another one. Okay. Here we go. Okay. You're a chooser. This is we are choosers.
Yes.
And so it's our responsibility, our lives then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's your responsibility to take an active role. Elohim tells us take 100% responsibility for your reactions to all situations. It's a huge amount of responsibility. When they first said that, everyone kind of took a deep breath.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, do you want someone else to be in charge?
I don't.
I don't. I mean, people sometimes wish their problems would go away, and I understand that. But I think I know it's true in my life, and I've seen it be true in other people's lives, that sometimes what we call a problem, when faced with consciousness, actually becomes the doorway to really powerful change and to a life that we're really seeking. When we hide and use fear and survival instinct to say, don't try, don't take the risk, don't ask him on a date, don't try for that new job, don't, that's when our lives become stifling. But if you can say, I'm going to face this uncertainty, with consciousness, I'm going to own that I'm a chooser. I'm going to own that I have an option here about how I respond to this. And all of the work in all of our books supports you with tools to help you know how to do this. It's not just an idea. Elohim's idea is if it's not actionable, we didn't do our job. So if you can't move, you can't use it now, then why were we here? So they're very action oriented about things.
Yes.
And so that's the thing is that all my books are filled with different tools that are super easy to use. They don't require you to chant or wear special clothes or believe anything fancy. All they require you to do is say, I am willing to look at this a different way, and I want support in doing so. Boom.
So the support is Elohim, right?
Yeah, they're teachings. And, of course, if you have one-on-ones or come to an event or something, yeah. Yeah, but their teachings are right there, all those videos.
They're a group, right?
Yeah, they're my soul,
yeah.
right? They're my soul, so I'm the human part of Elohim.
Okay.
But they're also doing a bunch of other stuff. I don't even know what all they're up to. But
I know channeling. I very intimately. Something used to come through me at one time. My own teacher, a teaching, so to speak, and I actually was typing and put it together in a semi-book form, and I gave it to people and I would read it at poetry readings. But ultimately, I realized that it was the innate wisdom coming out,
Yeah.
And I didn't need to put a name to it or anything, But it wasn't. It would call itself like a name, though. It would call itself the path, which differentiated itself from me. Could have been my higher self, but it really felt like a different being coming through whenever I allowed it to speak or when I wrote it. And I did that for a while, and then I let it go entirely. But I was definitely the spiritual path that was part of my growth,
Yeah, for sure. And I am 100% confident that every person can have access to their non-physical teachers, and each of the connections can look different. I was talking to some people the other day that they know their non-physical teacher is around, is helping them when they smell root beer. They'll just randomly smell root beer, and they know, that's our non-physical helper. So it can be almost anything. You can feel taps on your shoulders. You can feel a sense of tugging. There can be words like the way I work with Elohim and the way you described. A lot of people really work with automatic writing where they just sit down with a pen or a pencil or at their keyboard and words just start appearing on the page for them to explore. And all of this is connecting with the grander, greater, not better, but the bigger version of us. A lot of people also fall for this idea that, I call it, that we're meat puppets for our souls and everything's planned out and it's all been preordained. And I don't believe that for 1 second. We are here to learn about being human and then offer that expertise in collaboration with our soul. And so the soul knows a different perspective on things. It may not actually even know more. It has a different perspective on things. And that's how, when you're connecting with your soul's perspective, because it doesn't say the same things that you're saying to yourself. It doesn't run that hamster wheel mind of repetitive thoughts, some new information.
Like that higher consciousness that spoke through me. It wasn't like I am in real life, in personal life. It was confident. It was assured. It was unlike me. No, but the human self is not a robot. We have emotions and we go through things.
Exactly. And the non-physical self, the higher self, the soul self, whatever language people
it's not that concerned with that.
Well, it doesn't have a survival instinct, and it knows it's immortal.
Yeah.
So that cuts out a whole bunch of static right there.
That's what I felt like, that being that spoke through me. It felt like it was immortal.
Yes.
Because I could feel its feelings when it spoke through me,
Yeah.
We got to do a short station break.
Sure.
It'll be about 30 seconds, and we'll be right back.
I'll be here.
Veronica Torres, who channels Elohim, and you got her book here, Discovering You. Thank you.
Just mint.
I'm getting ice skates.
I'm getting a jigsaw puzzle.
I'm getting dying coral reefs.
A blue bicycle.
A walkie-talkie. I'm getting a severe drought.
Cool black skateboard.
I'm getting melted ice caps.
A killer heat wave. A shrinking glacier.
I'm getting a devastating flood.
Adults are generous. We're even giving kids global warming. But it's not too late. We can still reduce greenhouse gas pollution. Go to fightglobalwarming.com. Brought to you by Environmental Defense, the Robertson Foundation, and the Ad Council.
And you are listening to WRPI Troy, 91.5 FM, WRPI.org, stream live, of course. I'm your host for In the Spirit, Gary Goldberg, and I'm very happy to say Veronica Torres is with us this hour, and we're just having a great time talking about Elohim, and the latest book is Discovering You, and Elohim.com, ELOHEIM.com. Yeah, thank you. Elohim, that name, that's like angelic, isn't it? An angelic name?
Well, that's the funny thing, right? Because it's one of the Jewish names for God, and a lot of people are familiar with the word Elohim and have a lot of preconceived notions about what it is. But the truth of the matter, from my perspective, as Elohim has explained it to me, is that when they picked that name, because they gave it to themselves, I didn't pick it, they wanted to indicate in the beginning. To them, that's what that word meant. And I suppose it does, right? And so they wanted to indicate in the beginning, so they picked the word Elohim. And over the years, I have had a little bit of static with people who have assumptions about it and say, oh, I work with Elohim too, and they imagine that it's the same Elohim. And so what I've been taught is, just like I have a lot of friends named John, and they're not all the same person, that different channels saying the word Elohim don't necessarily mean they're referring to the same energetic either. And so anything channeled through me can be taken and worked with as a whole. But comparing what Elohim says through me to what some other Elohim says through someone else, that may or may not be a valid connection. So, yeah, that helped me when they explained that, because sometimes when people would ask me that, I never quite knew what to say until they explained it, and now I do. Oh,
thank you. Are we souls, or am I Gary Goldberg like a coat I put over my soul that I label that's my name and personality. Take the coat off. There's my soul, which I'm part of anyway, right?
Yeah. So the way that Elohim talks about this is the body, personality, awareness trinity. So we have the awareness, which we've been calling the soul, the infinite and immortal aspect.
Yeah.
Right? Then we have the personality, which is the Gary part.
Okay.
And then we have the body, which includes not only your physical form, what they call the gingerbread man shape that ends at your skin, but the entirety of what we experience on planet Earth, every single physical object we encounter. And so there's currently a lot of teaching that they're giving us about the balance between those three. And what tends to happen is we use the personality aspect and the body aspect a lot, and they trigger each other. So the personality says, oh, I'm not sure about paying the rent. And the body says, oh, better give you some adrenaline and an upset stomach. And the personality says, oh, the body's got an upset stomach. Things must be really bad. Bet it's a tumor. And the body says, oh, really? Are we going to be that sick? Okay. and you ping, right? You ping each other. Dong, 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 dong,
Yeah.
dong. And most people just live right there. And they don't ever connect with awareness at all. So what Elohim is teaching us to do right now, this is like some of the most current teachings they're offering, is to connect the awareness to the body and explore that, and connect the awareness to the personality and explore that, and lessen the dynamic between the body and the personality because, well, frankly, we already know enough about that.
Okay. Yeah, so we need to know more about the soul, right?
Yeah, bringing in that larger perspective without falling for the idea that it takes over, it knows better, it's right and I'm wrong. You know, people find lots of excuses to beat themselves up. And so this is not an opportunity to imagine you've been screwing up all this time.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to connect with an aspect of yourself that you're now available to. See, when we run habitual thinking and fear-based operating system through the brain 24/7, and there's no room for new thoughts. It's sort of like the washing machine, right? I had a friend who used to own a laundromat, and he had to put up a sign that says, don't stuff the washer completely full. There must be room for water for your clothes to get clean.
Yeah.
Because people would just put so many clothes in that the water couldn't even get in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the visual I have for when we just spin out with the hamster wheel thinking. Some people call it the monkey mind.
Yeah.
There's no room for new ideas.
Right.
If you're constantly worrying the same worry, there's no room for any new ideas. So we have to slow that down and make more space in there. And then the new ideas, where do they come from? Well, they can come from learning of all types, but they can also come from accessing your soul's perspective.
So what is the goal, then, of the human being?
The goal of the human being is to walk in collaboration with the soul's perspective. So instead of being driven by the survival instinct and the fear-based operating system, being able to have a mature relationship to the survival instinct. We all want to jump out from in front of a bus if we accidentally step off the curb in front of one. We all want to be able to hit the brakes when the car in front of us stops short. That's all survival instinct driven. So we're not saying the survival instinct's wrong or we want to get rid of it. What we want to say is that, sure, when there's a reason to perceive danger and act immediately, yay, survival instinct. But when it's simply a stretch into something new or an exploration of an uncertain moment that doesn't involve danger, stop processing it as danger, which is what we do habitually.
Yes.
So once you get that all handled, right, and then you're walking through the world going, I'm not triggered 24/7, I'm not hamster wheel brain 24/7, I'm not imagining that all I have to do is think the same thought again and it will somehow magically fix my problems, it makes space for an expanded experience of being human. We all know what that other version of human's like, but this expanded version of being human. Now, Eloheim will talk about the fact that, we have our monk in the cave lifetimes where in order to reach this expanded state, people would go and live in a cave, and they had no stimulus. And sure, okay, good, that's one way to do it. But what they want us to be able to do is what they call monk in the marketplace, which means to walk that expanded state through the world, encountering people, experiencing things that previously triggered us from a different perspective.
And
that's what they're helping us with, step by step. Very actionable. Yeah.
Very
None of this is just notions. Every single one of these ideas I've talked about has backup and step-by-step instruction and support for you to live it. This is not just woo-woo talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Eloheim.com, Eloheim.com. We have Veronica Torres with us. Thank you for being with us today.
I'm enjoying myself. Thank you.
Me too. Discovering YOU. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I want to read from your book a little bit, okay?
Sure.
Asking yourself what is true now is a way of staying connected to the moment and your soul's insight about the moment. It's fairly easy to remember to say what is true now, but it's also very easy to be habitual about the answer you allow yourself to experience. What is true now is not answered by the mind. What is true now is answered by an aha from your soul. So by asking yourself what is true now constantly, you're creating a very strong connection between you and your soul, which is a fine thing to do if you're interested in transforming your life.
Yes.
The truth of you must be experienced consciously. What is true now? Yeah. I love that.
And there's a really cool way to use what is true now that expands on that idea.
Yeah.
And that it's a more actionable way to use what is true now.
Okay.
And that's simply whenever you find yourself off your center or you find yourself getting ready to go from, let's say, your car into the office or from your car into the house, right? Anytime you're in a transition, just ask yourself what is true now and answer it 5 times fast, meaning like right now, I would do it. What is true now? I'm on the phone. What is true now? I'm sitting down. What is true now? The cat's next to me. What is true now? The carpet's beige. What is true now? The fire's warm, right? And what happens when you answer what is true now quickly, 5, 6, 7 times in a row, about your actual experience having, it makes the hamster wheel mind turn off. It has to. It connects you with your body and your place where you are actually in the world because you're looking around right at yourself to do it. And it breaks that pattern of think. So there's actually some room, like the washing machine, room for water, room for your soul to drop in some new thoughts, some new ahas, some new insights. And Elohim has given us, I don't know, 150 tools. They give new ones all the time. And in all those tools, they've said if we only ever had given you one, it would be what is true now. That would be the one. So you can use this in your car. You can use this when you're talking to someone. You can do it any old time you want. And it's so life-changing. Here's an example from my personal life. The other day, I was taking my cat to the vet. She hasn't been doing well. She's doing better now, thankfully, but she wasn't doing well that day. I was upset because it's my cat. So I'm crying. I'm driving. It's pouring rain. And I'm driving down the road, and literally I could feel my attention being pulled to the left side of the road, which was the, oh, God, I'm going to the vet. What's it going to cost? What's going to happen? Is the cat going to be in pain? Is she going to die? You know, all that, which is understandable, but not very helpful after the first 25 times I thought it. Right? Give it 25 times and then stop, okay? And so in that moment I thought, what should I do? I should do what is true now. So I did what is true now, and it was so amazing because as I did that, my vision, my gaze turned to the right a bit as I was driving. And here in Sonoma, we grow grapes for wine. And so we have what's called bud break, which is where the vines that are very bland and they just look like sticks, all of a sudden the greenery pops out of these sticks, and it's called bud break as the vines bud, and that makes the leaves, and eventually the grapes grow there. So bud break's a really powerful time of spring. It's like you go from nothing to green really fast. And as I turned my eyes to the right and said, what is true now, I went, oh, my God, it's bud break. And I was driving past it and not even noticing. And it's so beautiful. So the green grass, the brown vines, the green buds, and the pouring rain, and all my body calmed down. I stopped worrying so much about the cat, and I was actually present with my driving, which I'm sure everyone else on the road would be much happy about if they knew. And I settled in.
Yeah.
And I got to the vet. I wasn't crying at the vet. I was able to have a normal conversation with the doctor, which is always wonderful. All because I said, what is true now, twice. That's it. I only did two. What is true now, I'm driving. What is true now, oh, my God, it's bud break. Isn't that beautiful? Whoa.
Yeah.
That's all it took.
Brought you into the present moment.
Right into the present moment. Not coping, not pretending the cat wasn't sick.
Yeah.
But just being in the reality that the moment contained more. The moment contained more than just the things I was worried about.
Exactly. The things that you were worried about was filling the space up.
It was filling it up. Just like in the washing machine, it was all the clothes.
Which if we
there's
watch,
no room for anything else.
Exactly. And if we watch our minds closely, we'll see that it doesn't like a vacuum there. It's just like my life in my apartment. I love space. Yeah. I love to have space. Yet what I do is there's space. Oh, I've got to put something there.
Yeah.
Or this will go there. And then once it goes there, that's its home.
Yeah. This is why I carry a very small handbag. Yeah. Because if I carry a big one, I can justify somehow filling it up. And if I carry a small one, I never don't have what I need. I just only have what I need.
So that goes for our minds as well, right?
Yeah. Totally. Absolutely. It's a great example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's going to want to fill up with thoughts and ideas and worries or concerns. And just like before I go to sleep at night, right? Yeah. I lay down. I think I'm tired. I'm going to go right to sleep. It's going to be great. I lay down in the bed. And in the beginning, it feels good. Oh, yeah. It feels good to stretch out my body. Oh, man, good. Now, let's go to sleep. Oh, it's almost like a cue for the mind to begin now.
Yeah. You know why? Because there's fewer stimuluses. My chiropractor had cancer when he was young, and he said the pain was so much worse during the night because there was no sounds, there's no TV, there's no other people talking, there's nothing happening. And so when there's fewer stimuluses, the stimuluses that are there can get louder. So my thing that I've been doing for the last year or so that's just amazing is if that starts to happen to me, I visualize my bones. I start at my toes, and I visualize my bones as best I can all the way up through my body. And I find that brings me, really centered, quiets the mind, and focuses my ability to be still in a way that's really powerful. I'm not a meditator. I never have been able to meditate. The second I sit down to meditate, Elohim starts talking because they're like, "Oh, good, you're not busy. Let's talk." So the meditating thing has never worked, and the idea of making my mind silent is not that doesn't work for me.
Right.
But what works for me is not having chatter mind, so that I can get insight. Now that works good for me. So when I settle down the worries and the wonderings and the how's this going to work out and what do I have on my calendar for tomorrow and all that by focusing on my bones, then either I fall asleep or I get insight, new ideas, new revelations, which, that's okay. I don't mind laying in bed awake if I'm having a profound experience. It's just laying in bed awake worrying and being silly like that I don't want to do.
Right. Well, we really have to, it's really just being comfortable in your own skin, really, isn't it?
It is, and we are not taught how to do that. Fashion magazines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I don't think any of that would be so popular if people knew how to be comfortable in their skins from the day they were born. So it is something that society doesn't support us in having, that comfort. And it's nice to have teachers like Elohim come along and direct us in a way that offers that kind of support.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, great. Elohim.com. And there's so many tools. There
are.
Yeah. And I like the one I'm tempted to,
That's the best one.
Yeah, I'm tempted to. Why are you tempted to? If you mentioned about choosing earlier. Do it or not, right? Why be tempted, right?
Well, the great thing about I'm tempted to is you can use that as a pattern interrupt. So instead of, oh man, I'm so pissed off that I spilled the orange juice, you can just say, I'm tempted to be mad about spilling the orange juice.
Okay, so you give space.
It gives space, and what it does is it literally makes you use a different part of your brain.
Yeah.
So you don't use the habitual part of your brain. It's a jolt out of pattern to simply add the words, I'm tempted to, in front of an immediate reaction.
I'm going to start doing that more and more because I've got certain things that sort of push my buttons. And if I put, I'm tempted to think this about that.
Yes. But
actually, by tempting, it's not actually going there.
Exactly. I'm tempted to indicates it's a choice. It's just a temptation. It's not a demand. It's not forced.
Right.
No one's holding a gun to my head saying I have to. It's simply me being tempted in that direction and realizing, well, who wants to? Who wants to be mad about the orange juice spilling? Really, of all the choices of emotion you could have, most people don't enjoy being mad. But there's like, I have to have some reaction to it. Okay, well, how about I'm tempted to be mad, and then see how you really feel. You may actually feel neutral when you don't go with the habit of, oh, this is an inconvenience, so I should be mad about an inconvenience. How about I'm just going to be neutral, or I'm going to use it as an opportunity to really scrub up the kitchen floor like we talked about earlier.
I wonder what Elohim would say about this. Here's my scenario. All right. I'm thinking like I'm kind of on the outs with a certain individual that's important to me, all right? And I think that she's kind of mad at me or something. And we're kind of partners in a project together. We really have to work together to make it successful, right? Like business partner. And I'm kind of like, oh, I feel really, I don't know how to, I don't think, so I stayed away from her for a while. I didn't call her or anything. And so I had all this ideas about it. And then I absolutely had to, because we had to talk about something. And then I realized that there was nothing there.
Yeah.
I had projected that because of a certain communication that happened weeks ago.
Yeah. Telling stories, right?
To myself.
One of the things, one of the things we do, and I do it too, is tell a story to explain a situation instead of using our words. So in that moment, you could have said, I'm tempted to make up a story that there's some kind of conflict here. However, I can act by asking. I can say, could you say more about this? I'm not quite following you. You don't say, I think you mean this. You open the door for her to express more.
Well, as it turned out, I didn't have to address whatever I was concerned
Yeah.
with, because I engaged in just conversation about a specific thing that we really needed to talk about
Sure.
in regards to that, and so we didn't even have to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the nice thing is that worked out with that situation. But going forward, the empowerment would be the next time something like that comes up to say, oh, here's that thing. There's a good chance this is nothing, but am I going to spend 3, 4, 5 weeks thinking it's something before I find out? Or am I just going to open the door for her or him to express themselves a bit more deeply on this so we can both know exactly what's going on?
Right. So at least you have an attitude of openness.
Yeah. Because most people are afraid to do that because their survival instinct says danger, 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 instead of just saying it's just uncertainty. Maybe she's pissed at me. Maybe she's not. But that's all it is an uncertain moment.
Uncertain moment.
That I can ask for clarification about without being a jerk about it. Just say, I need a little bit more about this. I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
And be as neutral as you can. Do what is true now first. I'm tempted to be a jerk here, but I'm just going to be neutral.
What is true now? Right.
And what is true now. And then sit in receipt of her truth.
Right.
This, this would basically change the world. People would do this.
Well, if Elohim take over, but that's not the way it works. The way it works is that it has to come through our own choices. And Elohim, free will. Elohim will not take over.
Elohim cannot take over. They don't even take over my life. They stand back and say, there's a tool for that.
There's a tool for that.
How about I'm tempted to, or what is true now, or,
I've heard people talk about, my guides or being inspired by something. I think that's good. Even if it's an imagination, who knows what imagination is? It could be, but if truth is coming out, if something productive and helpful is coming out, that's good.
Well, when I was first channeling, I would be so nervous because I wouldn't really remember what I channeled very well, and I was like, I just don't know what's going on. I'm so new to this. I don't really understand what's happening. But people kept coming back, and I said, it really doesn't matter. I don't have to know how it works. All I have to see is that it's helping people, and it's helping me. It changed my life. Okay, good. I'm nothing like I used to be, and I'm so grateful for that. So that's all that really, in the bottom line of the bottom line, that's what matters to me. And getting lost in the who exactly is it and how do they fit into the Galactic Brotherhood of Federation, all that is the mind that pretty much just, in my opinion, is getting in the way of living the truth that you're getting. Let's live the truth that we're getting rather than get lost in the semantics of all of it.
Live it. Live the truth.
Live the truth that you're getting.
That's how you know. That's how you know. Mm-hmm. You see yourself in action.
It works. Okay.
It works.
Did it work? Great. Let's do more of what works. Did it make you a happier, better friend, better partner, better husband, better dad? Yes. Awesome.
It all comes down to being present.
It really does help. An enormous amount.
Being present and have the intention of holding this space for presence in not only your life but your world.
Yeah, and the problem with that, that's exactly true, and most people go, but I don't know how to do that. What do I do the next time, the dog takes a dump on the couch? I can't be present with that. Well, Elohim can help you find the way, find the way to have a different relationship to that, which is what's amazing about it.
To get there is another story, of course. Yeah. So, that's why we need tools.
That's why we really need tools.
To say that, presence is what, and I get it, and your and is very appropriate because we need we need methods to experience that.
This is exactly my point. So many people will make these proclamations, and you see them on Facebook all the time where it's like, happy, happy, woo-woo, bunnies and rainbows words with a good background, and people go, now I suck because I don't know how to do that. And that's really, really not helpful. We don't want people to feel like they suck because they don't know how to follow a Facebook meme. We want to empower people to say, I'm tempted to, and all these other tools that Elohim has, so that they actually change rather than cope or beat themselves up for having not coped well.
Very good. Eloheim.com, Eloheim.com, channeled by Veronica Torres. It's been so good having you on the show today.
I really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Yeah, through fire alarms and everything else. We made it.
We chose. We chose to continue.
We chose to continue because the show must go on.
The show must go on, and it wasn't actually danger. It was just uncertainty.
It's right. It's right. And so thank you again.
You're very welcome.
And is there something else you'd like to share with our listeners that we haven't touched on, or something, emphasize
just
something?
Remember, you're a chooser. Let yourself feel empowered by the fact that you are choosing. And if you feel stuck, and if you feel like you don't know what to do, break the step you're on down into smaller steps.
Yeah.
Everything happens step by step. We don't build the Golden Gate Bridge all at once. We built it step by step, just like everything else, including the changes you make in your life. So if you're running up against a relationship or a job situation that feels impossible, find a smaller step that you can accomplish. And sometimes that step is breathing in and breathing out. And if you need support, come on our Facebook group, Connect with Elohim, book a private session. Elohim is extraordinary at helping people with projects and staying on the step they're on, figuring out what step they're on, transforming your relationships where you feel trapped or stuck. That's what we're good at. And it's very, 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 very actionable and practical and fun.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is.
It is
I
fun.
agree.
It is fun. It is fun. And I agree with you. Because I choose that.
Yes.
Would you like to stay on the line? I'll speak with you off air.
Sure. I'd be happy to. Thank you again.
Thank you.
From Bennington to Broad Albion and from Catskill to Corinth, we're everywhere. This is 91.5 WRPI Troy.